Surprise, I'm alive. Hello and welcome to the Global Star Party. This week's edition is the Down Under Nice and Dark edition, where we have our Southern Hemisphere guys with some live views. Yes, live! I'm back and there's live views. So, hi, I'm Chris and I'll be your host for today's Global Star Party, where we stream live views of space stuff and talk about bits and bobs we've been up to and share our images of the cosmos. I really ought to have an echo effect for that. The cosmos. Right then, joining me today are the trusty team of awesome people who've been keeping this going whilst I've been dead or on secret missions doing quick work. Anyhow, we have Dylan.
Hey, hey.
Hello, and you are currently two people at once because you're on your phone and on the laptop, which is kind of taking. I've been away for a while, so that's kind of cool. I like that. That's a thing. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we've actually got some clear skies tonight, and it's actually handy that you're back because it's been really hard for me to host and share stuff at the same time. So now that I've got the observatory set up, I can hopefully share a bit, and you can do the rambling.
Well, I am pro at the rambling, and you can have the hands-free sharing experience because I'll be the hands. We are also joined by, well, there's the other Dylan, that's the other laptop. We have Kevin, the mysterious face. How are you, Kevin, and do we have clear skies?
We have clear skies. I'm not far away from Dylan, as you know, and lovely clear skies. A few little tiny threatening clouds, but we should be fine for the program.
Awesome. This is good news, and it's nice to see you again, dude.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, and we are also...
We've had some terrible weather.
Ah, well, yeah, you and me both. And we are also joined by Paul, who is currently a planet. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? And I'm given the view clear skies.
Well, yeah, we've got clear skies for once.
And you have Jupiter, and I presume other planets too. I'm a little envious of the other one. Anyhow, and we also have, well, a mystery quiet guest. We have Terence as well, who I don't know if he's joining us for any commentary or what have you today, but he's here nonetheless. And then there's me again. Hi. So this will be today's show.
I should mention, I always keep forgetting to mention that there is a Q&A section. So if anyone is watching the broadcast and wants to ask a question, just hit the Q&A and we'll do our best to Google it quickly and answer it for you.
Yeah, that's some stuff. I'm a little rusty, I must admit. So, well, I'm gonna some choices. Live views. I'm gonna click on Paul's live view because it's there. Paul, well, what are we looking at?
We are looking at a little wobbly Jupiter.
It may be little and it may be wobbly, but it's still an awesome planet. So, go on then. What are you using to point at Jupiter tonight?
Well, I've broken the big guns out. I've got the 12-inch scope back on the mount.
Only a little bit jealous. Well, that is a big gun. And are you borrowing this? And you know, are you? Please stack this. Please get some pictures out of this.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 times Barlow. Yeah, I probably won't stack these because the scopes I'm not collimated at the moment. I haven't had time to do that. So they're a little bit rough and ragged.
Well, it looks fine to me because we can see some nice equatorial banding there. I can't make out a red spot though, so I'm guessing that's the other side of the planet right now. And in fact, yeah, Definitely no red spot. It's been a while since. For some reason, I don't know about you. Around the other side and going, see you later. My timing hasn't been so good for that, but that is a live view of Jupiter, folks, and it's a nice one as well. Although Jupiter's lower for you, isn't it, than it is for me? Because Jupiter for me is quite high in the sky. I'm guessing it's for you.
It's pretty high in the sky here.
Ah, must just be the cruddy position of Saturn and Mars that I have to suffer then, and you guys get all the fun high objects. Not that I'm jealous. And Dylan,
yeah,
it appears we have something from you tonight. What are we looking at?
Okay, so we are looking at the Coalsack Nebula. So this isn't actually through a telescope at all. It's with the DSLR camera, which is sitting riding piggyback on the telescope, just pointing into the general direction. And it reveals this big, large, kind of almost squarish blob with a point on the bottom or the middle right there. And it should come up a bit better once I process it. There's some really nice detail in that large gap, but yeah, because it is so large and I can take it with the DSLR, it really you really get a lot of stars. I'm doing 2-minute exposures here, and I'll see if I can zoom in a bit.
Just 1 or 2 stars there.
Yeah, it's just the field is filled. And because I'm on my DSLR, I can set the aperture. I've stopped the aperture down to f8, which gives me these lovely, very pretty diffraction spikes. Not very scientific, but on the bright star in this image, it does look pretty.
I was going to say, I do like diffraction spikes for prettiness' sake. It must be said, but yeah, I mean, you can really make out that kind of dark region near that star. And to me, again, it could be my eyesight on this laptop screen, but the bottom left-hand side, you've got a nice kind of reddish star paired with another star. And it seems to be kind of some darkness there as well.
There is a lot of stuff in here. In fact, I think at the top around, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but around there at the top middle,
oh yes,
I'm pretty sure that's the jewel box in there, the jewel box cluster.
Yeah.
The jewel box is much bigger than that.
Oh, it is bigger? I think it's just at the top of the frame, but it must be out of frame.
Yes.
But to give an idea of size, I mean, this is at least maybe 16 times bigger than Orion. At least. It really is a wide field view. It's only a 135mm telezoom lens, so massive.
Wow. I was going to say that
you can see this naked eye.
Well, yeah, and this is why I need to move to Byron. There's a new land going out here. I'm just, you know.
Yeah, only $1 million per house.
Oh well, yeah. I'll just get right on that then. Yeah, I'd rather spend $1 million on a telescope. To be fair, that cluster. Can you embiggen that area? I'm just kind of curious to see how that breaks down.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. You're right, Dylan. I've just looked at it. That is the jewel box. Just looks small in that frame.
Yeah, it is. It is a massive object, that Coalsack. Just moving up there now. There it is.
Oh yes. Nice.
Now the jewel box has different coloured stars, which aren't going to be resolved in this particular camera. But yeah, it's a very busy little cluster, that one.
It's lovely. It really is. I have to admit, I do like clusters. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing the stacked version of that one, and I think we're going to move a little closer to home. Well, it's still, you know, not exactly a car trip away, but Kevin does have a view of one of our nearer neighbours.
Yes, and just as I said that we had a clear night, the clouds are starting to cause trouble.
Well, I'm glad I've jumped in so we can at least get this view now before it completely ruins it. And that, of course, is the beautiful red planet Mars. I must say, if anyone is looking, well, I have to look south quite early in the morning. I guess you guys look north somewhat early in the morning, or no?
Straight up.
Straight up. Oh yeah, you got it. cushy at the moment, haven't you?
Mars hits zenith for us.
Oh, that's just me. I really do need to move to Byron. But I have to admit, I had a quick fleeting glance a few nights back, and it was just this mess. I recorded like 20,000 frames as well. I was like, I got nothing out of it. Literally, it was just fuzz. But I can see some detail there.
Yeah, well, we're facing onto the Tharsis region at the moment. Oh, there the clouds are. So it's a relatively featureless area. Although one of the images I took the other night, there was quite a bright white cloud over Olympus Mons, which looks like it's disappeared now. You see at the polar regions, there's a hint of a polar cap there. Of course, we're upside down to your orientation, so the South Polar cap at the top of the image there, you can just catch it, a glimpse.
Nice. I was going to say, it's one of those moments where you just get that nice... I mean, I can see some kind of darker region to the features on my left here. Mars's opposition is quite soon, isn't it? End of this month?
It's at the end of the month. Well, the opposition's the 22nd, but it'll be at its biggest and brightest on the 29th. Just awesome. That's the way it works out. So,
right.
Hopefully by then, some more of the nice features for photography will have presented themselves in our direction. It's as a day-by-day thing, because Mars's day is 1 hour longer than our day. Each night it creeps around 1 hour's worth of rotation. So by the time 2 weeks from now, we should have some more detail in view.
That'd be absolutely fantastic. I mean, even to those of us...
That's not a live view. Please tell us that's not a live view, Paul. I'll put my telescope away if that's a live view. I'll go to bed right now.
No, it's not a live view. Take it just before the show.
Very nice.
That is lovely. So nice. You can really see some haze. Like there's definitely something going on in that atmosphere right now.
Yes, I've noticed that with some of the images I've taken. Very bright white spots around the limb. You can see it in Paul's image there.
I was going to say, there was, I think last year I remember people recording a feature that appeared to jump off the limb, and it was like rumoured to be a high cloud or something. It was, but that is lovely. I mean, nice feature showing up there. But if that was a live view, that was it. I'm just hidden the thing behind me and just done with it.
That's what 12 inches of aperture will get you.
That's well, I have jealousy, I must say, but
and that's uncollimated, Paul.
Yeah, collimation's quite a bit out.
Jeez.
Uncollimated, you can still get that. That's fantastic. I mean, I checked my collimation a couple of nights ago. Yeah, it's good enough. But that's lovely. That's a great view. I mean, we've got, obviously, that's a process view, obviously, and we had Kevin's live view until the clouds came and said hi. Oh,
it's gone.
Darn it. Oh, hey, hello.
It's coming back. Anyway, we'll move on to Saturn now.
That sounds like a plan.
I'll take a few minutes or a few seconds to do that.
Awesome. In that case, then I'm going to click on Dylan's view and go, ooh, shiny. Now, is this live?
This is live. This is a 60-second exposure, which just finished 60 seconds ago. And this is the Great Carina Nebula. So it's the one I've been kind of obsessing over lately and sharing lots of images and processes and reprocesses and narrowband and straight RGB. And this is the first time tonight that I've actually just done it with the DSLR, just to show you just how big this thing is. So if I zoom back out to there, oh, come on, yeah. So that's a normal 135 millimeter view, and it's massive. So at least 4 times bigger than Orion. There's just so much stuff going on here. It's an amazing nebula.
You really are the fan of the big objects, aren't you?
Yeah, well, this is the first time tonight I've actually zoomed out even further than I normally do, and I'm not even using the telescope now. It's just the DSLR camera.
I'm waiting for you to one day post a picture of that observatory of yours, and there's just a fisheye lens sat in the middle of it.
That's right.
I have all the skies.
Yeah, I do want a good all-sky cam permanently on the roof. That would be nice.
I was going to say, all sky cams are pretty cool, especially if you're looking for what you would call it, your meteor showers and things like that. They're great for that. We actually have a question here from Terence. He's asking, how often do you perform or check for collimation? Is it something I need to do often? 100% newbie here.
Okay, I'll have a stab. Yeah, not that often. You get it right, and then when you go to focus your stars, if you notice that what they call the airy disk, so when your star is out of focus, it should look like a perfect circle. And if you notice that circle is a little bit more oblong or a little thinner on one side, that's the point when you need to recollimate. But generally speaking, it's not something that you need to do very often unless you're mucking around a lot with the mirrors or anything like that, which shouldn't happen.
I was going to say, I check my collimation if I've shipped my telescope anyway. So, like if I've taken it out to a dark site and it's been in a car, things like that. Check this vibration. Exactly. Vibration can do things to it. Otherwise, yeah, once it's done, they hold their collimation pretty well in general. And now for something slightly closer than the gigantic pool of stars that Dylan is showing there, which, by the way, that is a lovely view.
Thank you.
We have Paul and Kevin showing off views of Saturn, so I shall quickly switch to Paul's view of Saturn. Oh, it's the wrong way around. Just saying. That is a nice view. Paul, tell us how you get this view, and come on, your collimation's not that bad. I can see the Cassini division.
It's probably not that good either. Just lug this thing out of storage and bounce it up the path and wiggle it onto the mount, so it must be jetted out a little bit.
As to say, that's a lovely view. That really is. And to compare and contrast, we also have a colour one from Kevin as well. Oh, we did have a colour one from Kevin. I have Kevin's face. Darn it. Darn you, Google. I see that in my absence, Google Hangouts hasn't necessarily gotten any better. Dear. Still have that. See, every time I click off Kevin, it comes back again. It's so strange.
Nope, it's back.
Yep. I'm clicking again. There it is. It's back. There's colour. It's Saturn.
I'm not muted, am I?
Nope, no, you're not.
Now, I'm just using the colour camera instead of the more high-resolution one that I use for imaging. This is the Meade DSi, a one-shot colour camera, so I thought I'd use that for the live views. I know it's not as crisp as you're probably used to seeing from out of my telescope, but it's good to see the colours.
It is. It's
good to see the clouds.
Yes, clouds. I've been fighting them by the ton. I reckon it's because all you guys have been, getting nice clear skies to balance it out.
It's so typical though. Like, it's been really clear all night, and even now I can see the whole sky is clear except for the one patch I'm looking at.
yeah. Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
It's like one of those little cartoon clouds that hovers over your head and just rains on you.
Yeah, I was going to say I was trying to image. I was actually trying to image just M13 and literally clear skies everywhere except the entire constellation of Hercules had this one cloud that float right there, and I swear that. And then I thought, you know what? Okay, fine nature, I'll succumb, I'll move, I'll try a different object. So I was going to go for the Iris Nebula. So I slid the telescope over, Hercules clears up, Iris Nebula gets cloudy. I'm like, really? Really? So, yeah, it's technology can only fight clouds so much. I still need to buy that radio telescope. Now, Paul here is showing all the sky, including the Great Milky Way galaxy. You see, now Paul is outdoing Dylan for the wide field view right now, which is a rarity.
You can really see those planets too.
Yes, I think. Yes.
They're the bright ones.
Well, you never know. You Australians might have some, fancy, bright stars that I don't know about. But I'm definitely getting a strong hint there of planets. And Milky Way. That's nice. So, in terms of constellations, the only one I know southern-wise is you go towards the centre of the galaxy and it's Sagittarius. That's my limit for Southern Hemisphere.
And there's the Southern Cross as well, which is probably the more famous one. And I've read tonight that there's a Northern Cross, and I think that's in Cygnus, where you've been photographing recently.
Yes. Cygnus. I do like the Cygnus. In fact, talking of, I actually, I'm going to share something now. He says I've got to find it. Yeah, and I'm not even signing to Flickr on my computer right now, so that's a challenge. Sign in. Can I sign in?
Do you want to jump to me for a sec? I've
Yes.
got a view up of the Southern Pleiades, which is really not as good as the regular Pleiades, but it's all right.
I don't know. It looks quite pretty. It's not got. Does it have any kind of nebulosity around it? I mean, I can see kind of hints of reddishness there, but I don't know if that's.
I haven't really imaged it properly, but they're blue stars. They're bright. They're close together. I don't know about the nebulosity though. So that's where the regular Pleiades really shines. Pardon the pun.
I'm saying nothing. I'm currently having trouble signing into Flickr on my laptop, so yeah.
Oh, I think you posted your image on the event page for this.
Yes, that's a point. I can go there. I've been away for a while. I'm still, I'm still there.
Your mind is still back at the bar.
Yes, and this is my first full day off, so I'm quite happy to say that I don't have to be there for another 9 days. It's glorious.
Is it? So it's in 2 days, the Mercury transit, yeah?
Yes, Monday it happens, and I will be off for it, and can't wait. Right then, now then, how do I expand?
Here.
Okay, let's have a gander at the question here. Drift alignment.
And how we're keeping the planets on the screen manually.
Manually is good, or really, really good drift alignment previously. I mean, I suppose, yeah. Go on, then.
I was just going to say, if the scope is accurately polar aligned, and you've set your mount to drift in just normal sidereal motion, it will track the planet pretty well.
Or you could do what I do when you're using fire capture and have the program track the planet for you with an auto-guider function.
Yes, I've used that just recently, and it actually crops out the edge of the frame and just keeps the planet right in the middle, which makes for a really good video.
Which is, that's how I do it, because I do a very quick polar alignment before I set up for planetary imaging, and it's for that reason. It's because you don't, the program will take care of keeping the planet in the middle, so you don't need to be so careful about the alignment. Yeah,
you don't have to run it through PIP later on or anything like that.
Well, because you're not taking long exposures, because you're taking millisecond exposures, then you don't need to have it perfectly aligned. If there's a bit of wobble one way or the other, it's not a big deal with the video.
Yep.
I was going to say, I mean, that's something I've not actually tried. Normally I have fire capture open, have the reticle up, and I've just got the PlayStation controller in my hand and just tweaking it every now and then, but I'll have to try that one out myself.
You just control it. It just takes in the settings, there's just a telescope control button in the settings.
I will give that a go next time I'm out imaging. Right then, if technology wants to play ball with me.
I can see it.
Aha! Right then, so I click on me, and there we have my recent multi-day photo of the Crescent Nebula in Cygnus.
Very nice.
Which is a bit of a work in progress, because I need to reshoot the data for the O3, because I was a little out of focus with that. And as a little segue as well, I'm actually having to get a replacement O3 filter, because it turns out mine's faulty, and they've had a recall on them because they produce halos around bright stars. So I'm going to get
someone else to blame.
Yes, not just me being terrible at data acquiring, but this has been shot. I shot 24 10-minute exposures in hydrogen alpha, and then the O3, the bluishness in this picture, is much fainter. So I shot 20-minute long exposures of the O3 data, but I only have 18 of them currently. I need to up the numbers on that one to get rid of some of the noise, but I can zoom in a little bit.
I must say, this is one of the best images I've seen you do. You've got to be pretty proud of this one.
I am, but I'm terrible at being proud about anything, because as soon as I'm like, yay, look at this, I did it, and then I'm like, no, I could have done this better, and I want to do this better, and maybe I could process, and I'm terrible. I pick it to bits every time I look at it. But I am pretty pleased with it. I have to confess. The fact that I managed to get star color and some of the background darker hydrogen alpha out of it, I'm happy, but I'm looking forward to moving on and doing better things and getting better at it. But I've had all my friends kind of recommend different names for it. I call it the Giant Brain Nebula.
It does look very brain-like, and it does look a bit like a jellyfish too, but that name's already been taken.
Yeah.
I did a quick Google and found that the star in the middle there is a Wolf-Rayet star,
Yes.
which means it's an unusual type of star in that it's heavy in carbon or nitrogen or helium. And when it went through its red supergiant phase, it shed its outer shell, which would have made it look like a planetary nebula at that stage, a nice perfect circle going out from the star. And then there's a second sort of explosion or a second outburst where the stellar wind creates, it's almost like, because one shockwave goes over the other shockwave, a lot of it gets sucked back in. So it's like an explosion going out and then in again, which gives it that nice crumpled, wrinkly kind of feel, because there's such a fluctuation as these dynamics ripple through.
I was going to say, it is quite stark, the difference in the actual shapes and structures you get between the two data sets. Like the hydrogen alpha, which is very prominent orange here, has that lovely kind of ripply brain texture, whereas the O3 side of the image, where the oxygen is present in the data, is kind of, it's got that ripple, but it's much smoother, much larger bubbles almost that kind of flow over it. It's interesting to see how the structures are different between the two data sets. But yeah, this is a beautiful object that when I try to view it through the eyepiece, you can see why it gets its name. Only the very, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but only the very bright outside kind of top edge can you actually see visually from my light polluted backyard, and it's just this thin kind of C shape. So it gives it that crescent name. But friends of mine did also recommend the Walnut Nebula. And a few people kind of said it looked like a sponge, but yeah, it's I have to admit, I am loving the camera. I'm loving the fact that I can now actually capture these objects and share them. It would have been nice. Next weekend I'm also off work, so I might be able to join in live for a show next week. And if it's clear, I will try to get this up as a live object. Probably stick to the hydrogen alpha side of things. It's a lot easier to do a 10-minute explosion, go and there's the picture, rather than waiting 20 minutes for it.
Yeah, I mean it's a faint object, but it's definitely one of those ones that I am a little jealous of from the southern hemisphere.
I know you can't see me right now, but I just did get a fist bump in the air. Because normally it's me being quite jealous of your objects. So, but at least I'm able to share it. And right, I shall click back on that and stop screen sharing. Awesome. And I'm going to click on. Well, I'm going to click on Pause View quickly, because that's a different planet.
It's Mars.
I love Mars. It's a tricky one. It's a lovely planet, and again, you can just see that detail between the atmospheric seeing. Just gonna stare in silence at it for a second, because I haven't seen Mars properly through a scope in ages. So that's nice. It really is nice.
I took my first photo of Mars just the other day, and it's my first try after 2 years of astronomy, and I've just started sort of getting into the planets. and I was so stoked that you could actually see the weather. You can actually see the weather on another planet, and not just like a planet that's completely weather, like Jupiter or Saturn, but a rocky planet with weather on top of it. It just really spins me out.
I was going to say that's for everyone watching, and I'm sure you guys are going to do as well, to actually see that whole kind of. Normally clouds, we hate clouds. You've heard us moaning about clouds already in this show. But to see clouds on another planet, those are clouds you do not mind photographing, because, I mean, I've gone out to the, I'm sure you guys as well, I've gone to the eyepiece and looked at Mars one night, and you can see those faint red details. I've gone to another night, and half the planet seems to be missing under haze, and you realise that you're looking at a dust storm, a global dust storm, or you see white flecks, and you're like, that's a cloud on another planet. And it really makes it feel much more real, much more like you can relate to it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a telescope, though, at least Mars is this beautiful bright red spot in the sky. Right? I was stood with some friends after doing a food shop. I do late night food shops because there's no people. It's great. You can just do it and be done. And I was stood outside and getting picked up by a friend, and I was just pointing out, that's Mars. And people were like, whoa, it really is red then. I was like, yes it is. And it just reminds you more people need to look up.
That's why they call it the red planet.
Yeah, I know. And then Kevin here has managed to banish clouds and has a planet which is full of clouds. And
just trying to see if I can get some moons on view there.
Yeah, I just saw them actually. Yes, when you were just.
I think there was heat. There was noisy pixels from the camera.
Ah. That's actually good to say. The one thing I want to point out here is that when we're looking at Saturn, there's this fantastic tilt. Of course, all its moons are currently sat on the same plane as that tilt. So rather than, whereas you look at Jupiter, you see the planets going past and casting shadows, with Saturn, you actually get to see their orbits almost from not a top-down view, but a kind of inclined angle. So you actually get, you could actually map their orbits as eclipses, which is kind of cool. It gives you a whole different perspective.
Yeah, it really is quite tilted this year, isn't it?
I was going to say, it reaches, I believe, maximum tilt in 2018, or maybe next year.
Yeah, that's right.
Where it will be, you'll be able to see pretty much all the ring around it, and that would be a view I am very jealous of, because I will see just nothing but muck, because it will be pretty much below the horizon.
And that's going to look great, because even now you can see the shadows quite clearly cast from the planet over the rings.
Which is why I wish I had a 14-inch telescope and I lived in Byron Bay.
You got 2 years now to save up and move.
Yeah, 2 years to earn $1 million or so. Not a problem. That's lovely. That's definitely. I mean, there's definitely 2 moons I can see. Oh no, maybe not.
Yeah, no, it's not the best. Not the best camera for it, I'm afraid.
Darn you hot pixels. But I'm still seeing Saturn live from my chair in my lounge during daytime. I still love this. So, first of all, thank you, Kevin, for that.
No, you are quite welcome.
I'm appreciating the view. And I like the colours as well. It's those subtle kind of, it's a very softly shaded planet. Now, Dylan, I'm going to ask for you to share a live view from you of all your gear and stuff inside your phone. And I have a request.
Sure. So I'm just in the observatory here, and I don't have a lot of lighting here, because as you can imagine, the whole aim of this exercise is to keep the lighting down. And I do have a view of the running chicken as well,
awesome.
Coming through the computer just here, which is also being streamed down on the other view. But yeah, that's what I've recently imaged, and this is just a wide field view of it. But here is there's the computer bay where I keep all my things, and there's my beloved hyperstar off the thing at the moment. And I'll just walk back. here is, at the moment, just a big useless paperweight because all the work is being done by the DSLR camera right here. But normally I'd be guiding with this scope, be imaging with this big one, and on the back here I've got my planetary setup with the power mate and the filter wheel and the ZWO 174mm.
Nice.
And then there's the pod itself. And if I just move out here and come back, there it is.
That is cool. I have to admit, that is some fanciness right there. I just, as you saw in my picture I sent you recently, I just have bin bags to cover up the delicate bits.
Yeah, I cover all this with garbage bags at night to keep the dust off, which you've just got to do.
Well, I have to admit that's an investment I'm going to have to make later down the line. It looks cozy.
It's been really good just to be able to walk out, turn it on, and just start.
Yeah, that's the feeling I
imaging within 10 minutes. It's amazing.
I was going to say, I mean, I left my gear outside because it was really dry, but there was a chance of a bit of drizzle between the clean nights, so I put some bin bags on, but literally to be able to go, oh look, sun down, click, click, garden, and I was just like, oh, that's amazing. Because normally, obviously, I have to tear mine down and put it back up again and drift a line, and that, to me, is just, that would be heavenly. The fact that I could actually, with my setup, I could pretty much turn it on from my bedroom if I wanted to, would be just, oh, so jealous. So jealous.
I think you get to a point, like, especially when you've spent so much money on telescopes and cameras, where the investment to actually have something where you use that gear more actually starts to make sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's now, as you can see behind me, mine is taking shelter in my indoor observatory with the non-retractable roof. And Dylan, and I'm sure everyone else who uses that map will express the fact that it's not exactly light, and it's
it's a tank.
It is a tank, and it's all right. I mean, it comes to bits. You don't have to lug it all out in one go, so that's a help. But yeah,
it's actually good that it's a tank because that keeps it nice and steady when you've got a lot of stuff on it.
There is one downside. British winter time means lots of rain, and then I have a garden that's full of clay, and I have had my tripod sink about 4 inches into the ground and lose its feet when I try to yank it out.
Gosh.
So,
oh no.
The only part that I seem to find kind of relatively miraculous was that even though the tripod had sunk during the night, somehow I managed to still guide and everything was still level. That's beyond my fathoming how that happened. But it wasn't the prettiest of guide graphs, but I still managed to get pictures out of it. So pass. But yeah, it sinks a lot. But it's so yeah. An observatory. So how long did it take you to set up the basics of that observatory?
Because it's a SkyShed pod, it's pretty well modular, so it only took about a day to put it together. But the preparation meant laying a concrete slab for it, and obviously clearing space in the yard and stuff like that. So that took a few weeks, but actually putting it together was pretty quick. It kind of happened all in one day.
Nice. Very, very nice. So I can see you've got your camera set up with some. I'm sure you're working on your next exposure.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it back and trying to do a even wider Milky Way shot for you, but I'm just having trouble focusing.
Yeah. I was going to say that I actually, talking about focus, I'm just going to put my headphones down for a second. Hello, I'm back. Right, and now I can hear you guys again. I did make a slight confession, which in the interim of me disappearing from future work, I do have one of these now.
A button-up mask.
Yes, which is a lifesaver.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have to admit, it's a little bit muddy actually. I did drop it on the ground. I need to wipe this clean, but yeah, great thing for getting focus. Makes it pretty easy. Some might call it cheating. I call it optimizing my time. Although someone was going on about full width half maximum, and my headache started coming back, so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna, just gonna make sure the star is pointy and shiny. But now I don't have access to Flickr on my computer, but I'm pretty certain there have been awesome submissions. So if anyone can, I don't know.
One that's good to look at is Kevin's animation of Jupiter.
I think I saw it.
Which also should be in the event page.
Right then, I shall have a look to see.
Yes, I put it everywhere. It's on Twitter too, if you know where to look.
I do not blame you whatsoever. Right. Event page. Why are we not loading? Come on. Right. You know what? Google Plus. It's a pain in the bum sometimes. Right then. I can hear the slewing of an EQ though.
Yeah.
It's a
very familiar buzz.
It's one of my favourite noises. Although possibly not my neighbour's favourite noise. Right then. I'm on the event page and I have a Jupiter. And it's a moving Jupiter, and that is awesome. Kevin, that is beautiful. I shall share that, and then I will let you discuss the awesomeness that is. I just realised something. I need to possibly minimise that view before I do that. So yes, there we go. Right, now I can share. Have you missed my rambling to myself then? Oh dear. Right, screen share that. Start a screen share. So hopefully you guys can see that. There it is.
So that is 6 frames made into a GIF. They're just running backwards and forwards of the imaging run on the 5th, where there was a shadow transit of Io happening, and Europa you can see just above, moving into behind the planet there. So it was a night of pretty good seeing, and I just took a whole series of RGB, RGB, RGB until Jupiter was hit by clouds. And the cleanest frame I posted on the Flickr group was actually showing some nice cloud detail at the back end of the red spot. You know, all the nice bits of Jupiter all coming together, the moons, the shadows, the great red spot, and a night of decent seeing. So I had enough. I thought 6 frames isn't a lot. It's not a movie, but it just sort of gives you that impression of movement. I liked
Definitely.
It is gorgeous, and I love the colours you brought out in the red spot there, and the detail.
Yeah, no, I've really tarted them. Yeah, just bumped the vibrance and just crank it right up.
Hey, I do not blame you whatsoever, because that is gorgeous. You've really got it nice there, and I love that.
When you say you're running through the frames, does that mean you must be going pretty quick between each exposure, like just 30 seconds each channel, and just bang, bang, bang?
Yeah, no, it's a minute for each channel, and I have to get up off my lazy backside, turn the filter wheel 1 notch, sit down, wait for the telescope to settle, because when you're changing a filter wheel manually, everything wobbles all over the place. The planet's got to come back into alignment, get another minute, change the filter wheel another minute, go back to the red, change the fin, and it's doing it all manually by the telescope. One day I'll get a motorized filter wheel and the computer can just do it all for me. But for the moment, it's quite a physical challenge actually getting the imaging in good time. These are all derotated in WinJupos, so the RGB frames for each frame of the video is derotated so that they're realigned, and that's why the spot looks black rather than an RGB smudge. Right.
Okay.
But for some reason,
so you only derotate the red and the blue back into the green.
You can. Yeah, in WinJupos, you just it's just derotate RGB frames, and I record when I record in Fire Capture, I use the WinJupos naming conventions. So then when you import the files into WinJupos, it knows what time it was taken and does all the automatic adjustments and derotates the frames to, puts it into where the green, puts the red where the green and the blue where the green frame is, and that time is what WinJupos says is the time. So if you do that, then you get a nice spot, nice dark black shadow rather than a smudge of different colours. It doesn't seem to do such a good job when I've done it on the moon, so I've had to actually cheat and manually realign the red, green and blue channels for the moons. In Photoshop, just moving the different channels around here. I don't know if WinJupos is capable of doing better than that, but I've had just no luck with it all. There's someone like Mike Phillips, who's the WinJupos king, probably has some tips on that, but I haven't been able to work it out of my own.
I was going to say, you just, with all that physical labour and then the processing time, you come up with a cracker of a result there.
It's arduous. It's it took a couple of hours to put the animation together.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm doing this Mercury transit on Monday. It's going to be not too hard capturing the data, but the actual processing of each frame over a 7-hour period is going to be, some work.
Making sure the colour balance is consistent and the brightness is consistent. That's the hard bit. The seeing changes from frame to frame as well, as you know.
Yes, I was going to say I did 5-hour one on Jupiter, and the seeing started off good and then just collapsed as the night went on. So you start off with this nice shot, which you think, yes, it's worth it, and then by the time you get to the last image, you're like, oh, where's all that detail gone?
Exactly.
Which is always frustrating. And I see as well that Paul is sharing a lovely picture of Jupiter with a nice shadow too.
Oh, that would have been earlier tonight.
Yeah, before the show. Europa shadow.
Nice. And there's lovely cloud tops and the lovely banding. I mean, the banding on Jupiter is very, very striking. So it's something that's always worth looking at through an eyepiece, as well as obviously through our cameras.
What's an eyepiece?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm beginning to get that feeling as well. I look at my poor etched reticle that I used to do drift lighting on with, and I'm like, don't need you anymore. And then I actually was talking to one of my friends, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm looking at getting some eyepieces, and I'm like, yeah, I won't bother. You're not going to in a while. You just need one really, and a bar will be fine. But I was going to say, I have to admit, I do force myself to go out and look through the eyepiece at objects that are visible from my light-polluted yard, but I have to admit, there's about 75% of my time now, the camera's already plugged in, and I don't go near an eyepiece the entire night. Yep. I mean, behind me, you can see the camera. It's very hard to try to reverse point everything, but the camera, filter wheel, and the OAG are all plugged in, ready to go. They're already in focus for H alpha, and I'm just literally on, plug some things in, drift a line, done, and there's no eyepiece involved whatsoever. The only time I actually look through the scope is when I look through the viewfinder just to find my first alignment point star, just to get that centered up and click on a button on the computer. So yeah.
Or when you've got guests.
Yeah, actually, I do have some guests coming around during the week to look at the planets, so I'm actually going to have to figure out how to, use an eyepiece again. What is this? You look at what? We actually have a question I've noticed from Terence here, and it's actually aimed at you, Dylan. Do you find that image quality improves if you don't use a tripod on the ground? You have a concrete pillar, and Dylan, do you have a concrete pillar?
No, so I use my tripod. Celestron does sell some vibration pads, and I've seen a demonstration of these on YouTube showing a guy just aiming off into the distance and then stamping his feet next to it, and it definitely does make a difference. it's definitely something I want to buy just because I'm still using the tripod. But generally speaking, I'm not in the observatory while it's imaging, so vibration's not that much of a big deal. The tripod's just there on its own anyway, so I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but it would be nice to have a pier. But the only real advantage for me would be to just be able to move around the observatory a bit more, rather than having that triangle space in the middle of the room being used up.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that makes sense. The one thing I find is that it doesn't get in the way so much, because obviously I have to feed them the whole garden, really, is that cables. So many cables. Cables are like a death trap. That's the one thing that I find is the worst thing. Actually, that's one thing I have to ask, because I know that when I have my telescope over grass or any kind of like soil kind of environment, my seeing conditions, generally speaking, are better. Are you finding concrete has affected your seeing because it stores heat, or are you finding the observatory is keeping the heat out and it's not so much of an issue?
That's interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure that my imaging is up to that level where it would make a difference. But I know that the observatory itself is so hot, especially here in Australia. If I didn't have a timed air conditioning unit inside of it, it would climb to temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius, which would literally be enough to cook chicken or even beef in.
Oh, barbecue in your observatory, perfect. Oh dear. I mean, that's the one thing I have experienced, because I remember only with planetary, not so much with deep sky stuff, because your exposure times kind of balance things out, I tend to find, over the long run. But with the imaging planets, I remember being in a field and imaging, and then I had to move. We had to move our gear around because various issues with water rising. Long story, but I had to move my gear into a section of car park and on the concrete, and my seeing conditions between the move really were completely different. So I'm just wondering. I think it's something to do with the ground absorbing the heat during the day and things like that. But
yeah, makes sense.
It's something I think only really affects planetary imaging. But well, at least wait. You know that if you're gonna store any chocolate there during your daytime, you can have a nice liquid chocolate dinner in the evening. Great.
That's right.
Dear.
I can show you on this wide field view that I'm sharing now. The first thing I showed you tonight was this object here. If you can see my mouse pointer. So that's that Cul-de-sac nebula. So that's the big one here, and the jewel box is somewhere over there. And then I showed you Carina, which is this big purpley sort of smudge here. Still a large nebula, even zoomed out at this level, which is almost sort of regular viewing. It's not this bright naked eye, but this is sort of the scale you'd see with your naked eye. And over here was the southern Pleiades as well.
Nice. Now, I have to ask, because again, I'm not particularly familiar with the southern hemisphere, but are the Magellanic Clouds visible from where you are at the moment?
Yes, I think this might be one of them here, actually. Yeah, it is. I think that's the large Magellanic Cloud. I'm pretty sure this is upside down, as you can tell by the tree levitating there. But that's the large Magellanic Cloud there.
It's pretty cool. Nice. Well, I hope you guys have a nice clear night for the entire evening, so you can get some nice imaging done. Now, Paul here has, of course, his lovely wide field super view. And we also have Saturn again. Hello, live Saturn. Oh, I am jealous because you guys have Saturn so high up.
Can I just say thanks as well for coming to host tonight, Chris? It's been really great to see you back on the show.
Well, I'm sorry that I disappeared, and thank you. Yeah, work, just work, so much work. As I say, next weekend I will be available because I'm not working that weekend. Yes! Not that I'm happy about these things, but woo! So yeah, that's something that's happening. So I should be able to join in next week. And I really hope to be joining in more often this year, but workload at the moment to afford the shiny things and what have you has just been horrendous. I'm currently looking into trying to buy a nice. I know it's funny because I always tease you about wide field, but I'm trying to buy a shorter focal length telescope as well.
There you go.
Something in the kind of naturally an f6 kind of area, and yeah, more wide field. So I'm currently doing research on that one. But thanks to getting that mount, I can put whatever scope I want up to a certain weight limit. So that's awesome. And thank you guys for sharing your awesome live views of epic stuff in space. And because Paul just you always somehow manage to bring the shiny. And that is, I mean, you've got Cassini division in there. I think it's worth trying to get a little capturing in there. Come on, you know you want to. Just, and of course, Dylan, I hope you stack that coal sack until we can really see it, like, super sharp.
This should be fun. This is a new kind of field of view that I was imaging tonight, so we'll see how they turn out.
I mean, you've got super wide field. As I say, I am waiting for you to go fisheye permanently.
Yes.
I mean, my focal length. I mean, luckily the Crescent Nebula fits quite snugly into my frame, but my focal length is huge, so everything's a panel that I've got pretty much planned for the rest of the year, except the Dumbbell Nebula. The Dumbbell fits quite snugly in as well, so that should be fun. I'm still thinking about binning options on that one, so I'll get back to you on that one. But and Kevin, I know you've been plagued by clouds, but you too also brought live awesome planets, so thank you.
It's always a pleasure to do that.
Epic views. And I hope those clouds, well, politely put, go away, and you can get a nice night of seeing stuff in space. Because I mean, that's what we love doing.
The clouds have settled in nicely, and I've just packed the scope away.
Oh, darn! Those clouds wanted to join the party. But well, I think we all should chip in together and get a radio telescope. I think that's a plan. I'm sure Arecibo will be up for grabs in a few years. Now then, and well, I've been here. I've not had live because despite it being sunny, it's still hazy, cloudy out there, which sucks. But Monday is going to be a clear day. Touch wood. I'm just, going to keep touching wood here. So the aim is to hopefully live stream first contact and a bit of the transit and discuss what we're seeing and how awesome it is and how it's pretty rare actually. Mercury will appear as a little black dot across the in front of the sun, so I'm hoping to live stream that. For those of you who are able to see it, of course I recommend safety first, so proper solar glasses. Sunglasses will not do it. Don't even. I know some specific welding goggles will be fine, but again I don't recommend. Projection is probably one of the easiest ways of doing it, or tuning in to a live stream where you can just look at it live in hydrogen alpha. So, I'm going to talk to Russell about what we're doing on that one and probably set up the event sometime today so we can invite people to it. So that's happening on Monday, which will be epic. And I have a clear day the entire day, so there will be a video time-lapse in a few days afterwards once I've done several gigabytes of data to a hard drive and processed it, and a few beers. So thank you for everyone that watched live. Thank you to Terence as well for asking those questions. It's always good to answer any kind of questions or comments that we get. So again, feel free. I will have the Q&A app. I'll actually have hopefully all the applications loaded up on my laptop come Monday, so that I'll be able to answer questions and field comments and things like that. So I'll probably have a hashtag as well, so I'll tweet out pictures and things. So it's going to be very social media, and I may have a beer in one hand as well. This space here may be filled with a beer. So I'm probably rambling even more than normal. So if you like rambling and you like space, definitely tune in. And if you guys are awake and want to just look and share and talk and comment, then please do. It's probably going to be quite late at night for you guys, but if you're free, come join us, talk about it, and Paul can show off with his fancy processed previous photos of the sun. So that'll be awesome. And yeah, well, thank you everyone for joining. We have the Twitter, we have Google Plus. I think there's even an Instagram. I think that's Dylan's realm of expertise there. I am actually going to be doing some Instagrammy stuff myself. You can find me at CKMU on that. Watch this space. There's some pretty cool stuff coming up. And of course, you see that Paul's just showing off. He's like, hey, look at this. That's the sun. That's pretty active. Wow, that's a lot of filaments. When did you take this, Paul?
That's today. Looking filaments as a little picture in front of it.
That's actually remarkably active. Not in the sunspot kind of way. It looks like the Loch Ness Monster's got friends. It's just all swimming across the sun. You may have to. That's a slightly obscure reference, but if you look at Loch Ness Monster, you'll see what I mean. Paul, thank you for that beautiful view, and thank you for sharing views tonight. I'm assuming we can find you on Google Plus still these days with your awesome sun pictures.
Yep, they're all still there somewhere.
That is epic. That is an epic view, and I'm pretty certain we can find Kevin's photos all over Google Pluses.
All over it.
All over it. And Twitter?
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
I think I rely on one of you guys to reshare my Flickr photos to Twitter these days.
Well, you've got some impressive planetary stuff coming out at the moment, so everyone check out Kevin's planets. They're his planets, he bought them earlier. And of course, there is Dylan, the ever-intrepid wide-field photographer with, you know, the wide fields.
I'll keep them coming.
Please do. They are pretty epic. I followed Dylan on Instagram. It is well worth following him if you don't already. His pictures are pretty awesome. They're getting slightly less selfie and more space-based as they progress. Scroll back far enough, though, there's a few selfies. But yeah, no, Dylan, thank you for sharing your views tonight.
No worries. We'll see you again next week.
Yes, and
Or in a couple of days.
In a couple of days, potentially, I will get that event sorted out and shared out and stuff if I can remember how to do all this lark. I may just ask Paul for help with this one. So yeah, Paul, I may be begging for for knowledge. Right then, thank you for joining in and watching this week's Global Star Party. Next week's regularly scheduled one is the Western Night Side edition, where it's all dark in the US and the UK. So hopefully, if it's clear, one of us will be sharing some views, and Paul's probably got the sun and awesomeness, so please join us for that one. That'd be epic of you. And, well, thank you for joining us, and we shall see you next week and potentially in a couple of days for live Mercury transit. Right then, thank you and good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.